Hey, we understand that the black hats are the Masonic filth. Who are the white hats officially?
Okay, this goes back to the Q movement kicked off shortly after Kennedy's death, JFK's death in '63, so it's been on for 60 years. There's a group of military officers who determined that if a president could be assassinated, they're in bad shape. And so slowly they started to build up a team of senior officers who decided that something had to happen. Now, at some point, they're looking at options as all military officers do when they're planning. And they don't say right and wrong. When they do a plan, they work out what's workable and what's not. Is this workable? Yes. Is this workable? Yes. Is this workable? Yes. Is this workable? So they're looking at workable options to save the United States. One of the options was a military coup d'etat. Literally, just take it over, clean up the filth, and then hand it back to the people. That was rejected, as was when we were looking at it in Australia before we even knew about white hats. We determined that coup d'etat or a violent uprising would create such a wound that it would never be healed, and that's if it succeeded. And if it didn't succeed, then it would give the black hats every opportunity to do what they wanted to do, because the people just didn't believe it. They don't believe it now. After all that's occurred, the people still don't believe there's something odd going on. And so they decided to go the slow way, not unlike the communists who had the same problem after World War II, and they were deciding, do they have an armed, violent revolt, the communist revolution, or do they do what Antonio Gramsci did, the Italian communist in the 20s advised, which was the slow march through the institutions. And so they decided to penetrate the institutions, the universities, the schools, the media, the unions, business, the politics, the judiciary, the constabulary, the military. That's what they did. They penetrated the lot. And so they grew and grew, and they worked undercover, and some had to go work undercover, and undercover's a dirty business because you do the dirty things with dirty people to prove your bona fides. And it's based largely on Marines and Navy. And there are somewhere between 200 and 300 flag ranking officers, which is general rank, Marines and Navy, and other services too, but it's strongly based on the Marines and the Navy. And they've been working behind the scenes to penetrate, understand, and then when the time came, begin to undermine the black hats, the deep state. So that's what it is. That's what Q is. And they've had to do that. And these guys, and when there's two or three or 300 generals and admirals, that doesn't mean 200 or 300 people. Each one of those people controls a large swathe of capability, if that makes sense. And so that means you've got large amounts. And so it's taken time to select the right people that are trustworthy, because undercover work is hugely risky. And that's who it is. That's who's actually doing it. And these guys are just good soldiers that know what's right and what's wrong, what's lawful, what's not. And that's why they have pursued this in a completely lawful way. So when history reviews what they did and how, you can actually read Law of War. You can read the Law of War, and that's the rule they're following. They're following the rules. They didn't do anything outside the rules. They made sure that what they did was correct in law. President Trump is still the president, and as you might have heard Derek Johnson say several times, there's two separate organizations. One is the government and one is the military. Now, he's the president of the government, but he's also commander-in-chief of the military. And the military is the organization that holds the final cards in their hands, because they control things that go bang. And it's an in extremis situation where you don't pull that lever until you need to, but it got to the point they said, okay, we're going to do this now. And so they recruited Trump, the Q movement, the generals and admirals recruited Trump. You're going to become president, but you have to win it legitimately. We can't place you in there. You've got to win it. And once you're in, here's the plan. And Trump had a look at it and he said, okay, let's go. And so he is a real, genuine, legitimate president. He's a real, genuine, legitimate commander-in-chief. He has real authority, and they cannot act without his authority. And so it's a delicate game they've been playing. So that's what's been going on. And we can say that because the people who don't want to believe it, and they never will, and that's fine. And the rest of us know this is the truth. And so I hope that answers your question. It's been a long, slow journey in the process. If you look carefully, you will find things online like General Mattis, who was head of the Marines, with all his senior officers taking a happy photograph, all holding a mug. And guess what letter of the alphabet was on that mug? There's another photograph where they're in a big circle and there's a little line coming out. So this is real. Whether you want to believe it or not you, but if people want to believe it or not, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. It's moving ahead. And when they say nothing can stop what's coming, nothing can stop what's coming. The forces at play are beyond the Masonic filth's comprehension.